You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show.
Surprise. He did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Season 9, Episode 2 After Show for The Real Housewives of Orange County. Meat and Potatoes, I'm Sterling Cates, and here is my lovely co-host, CJ Simpson.
Hello.
Hello, I'm glad you're here with me this week.
I am too. I'm not going to leave you alone any longer.
Yeah, please don't.
Okay.
Okay, so we started off this episode with, they were still in Hawaii at the dinner.
Yes.
And we finally got some answers about Brooks.
Yes, Vicki and Brooks. The drama has continued into this season. Last season, it was a major, major drama because no one likes Brooks. I mean, no one. Not even Vicki's daughter likes Brooks. So the question is Vicki still going to deal with Brooks or not? And Tamra finally brought it up in Hawaii as Tamra, Heather, and Vicki were still there. They were having dinner and asking, so you're happy, kind of hinting around like, is she going to say that she's with Brooks or not? And then Tamra just straight up asked her, okay, so does this mean Brooks is part of this happiness or is he not part of the happiness?
And she goes on to say that he is part of the
Yes.
happiness. But we saw at the end of last season when he said that he doesn't see them getting back together.
Yeah, he said he was going to let her go.
Right. And so to see this happening now is just kind of a shocker for all of us watching because the last note we saw was that they're not going to be together. But now Vicki is saying that they're dating. They've been going to counseling separately. So what do you think about what he's been saying? He's saying that he loves her and he wants to fight for her. Are you trusting him? Because it doesn't seem like Tamra.
I don't trust Brooks at all. I feel like Brooks is a moocher.
Yeah.
I've always felt that from the first time he was introduced to the Real Housewives of Orange County. And I don't think my opinion's going to be changed unless he was to miraculously, they say people do change. I say, people can change, but we'll have to see this season. But right now, I am not convinced. I'm with Tamra.
Right. Well, Vicki says that they're doing counseling and that he's handling his alcohol. He's having a maximum of 2 drinks. But I guess we'll just have to see. He wasn't in this actual episode. We just heard them talking about it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not trusting it yet. I have to see some more of Brooks so that I can see what he's really talking about.
Right. And Tamra brings up the point that she thinks that Vicki might just be trying to prove something to everyone who says that their relationship's not going to work, that, she's just doing this as a front to kind of, to fool everyone or to say, I'm going to change him and I'm going to make this work. What do you think about that?
It's kind of like a child. When a child's told they cannot do something, no, you can't have that cookie after 9 o'clock. Then you all of a sudden want the cookie after 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
So I think that's what Tamra's saying. Tamra's saying that Vicki is that type of person that if you tell her she can't do something, she's going to do it. And I know several of those type of people as well. And it's true. Like, it's kind of like you just have to let them go through it. So I think that's what Tamra's saying. Like, when Vicki walked off to go to the bathroom, she was like, hey, I know it all sounded good, but I don't trust them either.
Right.
So.
Well, it's definitely a very sensitive topic because Vicki is just 1 week divorced now in this time. So she has just gotten divorced from Don.
I think a lot of us forgot about that because she has dealt with Brooks for so long. 3 years?
Yeah, that was 3 years.
And so now she's officially divorced, and she's saying that now they may even move into the house that her and Don lived in, which is weird because Brianna's not going to have that, Vicki's daughter. So it's just, it's a lot of drama.
So a lot of drama, obviously.
Anything dealing with Vicki is always drama. Anybody who's watched this this show for years knows that Vicki is drama.
Right. So let's talk about Brianna and her relationship with Vicki and how she feels about Brooks, because I just feel like Vicki is always saying, my kids are my life, and, kind of having to deal with her happiness versus their happiness, and it seems like she's happy with Brooks, but Brianna doesn't like Brooks, and it seems like her kids are a huge part of her life. So, I mean, that battle, that constant struggle between your happiness versus your kids' happiness.
Absolutely. Now, if this was any normal situation and the guy wasn't, I don't know, a scumbag, then I would say go for your go for your happiness. I believe that it comes a point in your life. She is a grown woman. Her kids are grown. Like, you have to live for your happiness. And if your family's supposed to love unconditionally, as long as you're not being hurt or harmed or abused, then eventually they should come around.
Which seems to be the problem, though, because that's why Brianna doesn't like Brooks, is because he made that comment to her husband, Ryan, about maybe he should be physical with Brianna to get her to do what she wants him to do.
And see, that's why I said that comment. If this was, if this is a normal situation, but I feel like that it is abusive situation. And as we said, people can change, but we haven't even seen Brooks this season yet.
So it's important for everyone to have their guards up.
Yeah.
And we're still deciding between, like, if they actually care about Vicki. Well, I know Brianna does, but with Tamra and Heather specifically, or if they're just curious about Vicki's life, or if they actually want the best for her.
I think Tamra absolutely wants the best for her. Right. Tamra and Vicki through the years have gone through so many ups and downs, and Tamra gets really upset when they're not on the same page. And so now that they're finally back on the same page this season, I think Tamra really does want the best for her. I think that she doesn't want to wrinkle any feathers right now because they are on such a good page right now. But I think Tamra definitely wants the best for her. Now, Heather is a different story. We learned a lot about Heather in this episode, which we'll touch on later. But Tamra definitely wants the best for Vicki. But it's, as we said, it's kind of like that child. You just have to let them go through it.
Exactly. And Tamra even said that she doesn't want to push any buttons with Vicki because she doesn't want to, insert her opinion, because then Vicki will just shut her out.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we've seen in the past 2 episodes that they're in a really good spot in their friendship right now. It seems like they're very open with each other. So I just think that Tamra doesn't want to risk that.
No, absolutely not.
And I mean, that's understandable. And also, this conversation continued when Vicki met with her therapist, because it seems like she's having just a really hard time struggling with kind of having an empty nest right now. Her son Michael came to visit, and she's really excited about seeing him once a week, she said. Something that was really funny to me, when we were watching it, I kind of laughed out loud a little bit, but she's like, my kids are my life, like I'm really involved in all this stuff, and her son was just like, one-word answers.
Yeah. She was like, I lost 8 pounds. That's not really a big deal. I run on the treadmill 3 months. I don't believe that.
That's not cool. Or that's not impressive.
He had such an attitude.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh.
He was really just like not interested in anything she had to say.
Yeah.
So that was funny not funny because that's sad to see.
Interesting.
But she was all in it.
Yeah.
And she thought it was going really well. And then he just was kind of like, no, that's not cool.
Yeah.
All
Her
right.
reality is
I'll
not
see you
real
later.
reality.
Yeah, so he was a little bratty.
Very bratty, not even a little. He was very, very bratty.
But I think that Vicki just wants that companionship, and that could be part of the reason she stays with Brooks.
I think so. She wants love so badly.
She wants someone in that house.
Yeah.
And now that Brianna has moved out, she moved out, I think, a few months before this happened. Now that Brianna's moved out, she's moving to Oklahoma with her family. She's pregnant. She has Vicki's grandchild with her and her husband. So that whole part of their family is moving.
Yeah.
So now I just think Vicki feels lonely.
Absolutely. I think loneliness is one of the major problems that Vicki should probably be talking to her counselor about rather than the issues with her family. She probably should be talking about her feelings and what she is lacking within herself, because you should never, there is a sense of loneliness, but Vicki's never okay alone.
Right. And I think what she's realizing, and we saw this in the therapist scene, is that she can't control everyone in her family, and she can't dictate how they feel, and she can't make Brianna feel a certain way, and she can't make everyone like Brooks. And so I think for her that's like a really big struggle, is that she can't have that control.
I love the way her counselor shut her down.
Yeah.
He was like, well, so what that your daughter and her husband want to move to Oklahoma? They have to live their life. They're not living for you.
And she was like, well, she's not his daughter. And he was like, yeah, she's his wife.
Wife.
Yeah.
They've made a life commitment now. Yes, you
Totally.
gave birth to her, but now you've got to let go.
Exactly. So is there anything else we want to say about Vicki and that with her and Brooks? Or I guess we can't really touch on more because we didn't see Brooks.
We didn't see Brooks. I cannot wait to see how he's going to come out in this season because he's going to have to do a lot to win a lot of people over. But we did see Vicki later on in the episode show up without Brooks at a party.
Well,
so,
she said she showed up without him because he feels uncomfortable with all these catty women that
But that's
don't
going to
like
be
him.
interesting because he's going to have to show up.
He's got to be there.
Got to.
Because that people who are just now watching the show, we keep hearing, we don't like Brooks, no one likes Brooks, but they got to figure that out for themselves.
Absolutely.
So he'll definitely make some appearances.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yes,
I can't
me
wait
too.
for that. Okay, so before we move on to the next topic, just want to bring up, if you like our Real Housewives of Orange County podcast, we are so excited to be bringing back the Real Housewives of Orange County for you guys this season. But go on iTunes, rate and review us. We love 5 stars. Right?
Absolutely. Can we get 5 stars? 5 stars.
But we love reading your comments. Download the
I think
app.
I said 10. I mean 5.
Or 10 stars, either way.
Yeah.
But you can download the AFTERBUZZ TV app. Please go on iTunes, rate and review us, and we will be coming back each week with recaps of Real Housewives of Orange County for you.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited. So let's get back into it with this. We'll talk about Tamra a little bit. So in the first episode for the premiere, we got to see her and Eddie, her new husband. They've been married for 5 months. But we didn't really get to see how they interact with each other. It was just a quick shot of him working out at her gym that she's open. And but now we kind of got into their home a little bit. What did you think about that? What was
He's
your-
hanging their curtains. Well, I've always liked their relationship, especially watching in the past seasons, the relationship she had with her ex-husband. I didn't really care for. I didn't really care the way he treated her. It was pretty dysfunctional, and I've always loved Tamra and Eddie's relationship. It's always been pretty even keel, but it is interesting because Tamra even made the comment on the show tonight that she was used to being wined and dined, and they go to dinner and they would hang out and they would take trips, and now it's kind of like reality has set in. They're at home, and she asked them to hang curtains tonight, and it's real life. Like now, life has set in. So I actually still really love their relationship. I mean, I don't see anything where someone wouldn't long for that type of relationship. So.
Right. To me, their relationship seems really genuine. She was mentioning that they haven't gotten to go to on a honeymoon or any of that, and they're just have really crazy schedules right now.
Girl, they have been on so many trips though previously.
Well, yeah, exactly. I feel like their lifestyle in general is kind of like a vacation. I would like to live that life.
All of these ladies.
Yeah, totally. We were talking about, it doesn't really seem like they have any
They don't have
problems.
real problems.
Yeah, other than whether or not the potatoes are cooked. But we'll get to that
We'll
later.
have to definitely get to the meat and potatoes.
But the biggest problem that Tamra and Eddie have is that she had her tubes tied.
Yes.
Which I completely forgot about.
Yeah, I did too until tonight. She is divorced and she has 3 kids, and they are with her husband 50% of the time, and so now she's struggling. I know in the past seasons, she has talked to Eddie about, did he want his own children? And he said, maybe, maybe. So I think she's probably feeling, we talked about loneliness before, feeling a little loneliness or detachment from her own kids. So now she kind of wants something, and she wants to be able to give Eddie something.
Right.
But like you said, her tubes are tied. So that is an issue. So now they're talking about surrogacy or adoption. And so that would be the avenue. But Eddie kind of swept it under the rug. Did you think?
Yeah, well, I think he wants kids. And I think that he wants something that's just with him and Tamra.
Yeah.
Like, I think they want that, something that kind of like bonds them a little more, which totally makes sense. But obviously Tamra is struggling with, she already has kids, but she doesn't get to see them half the time. And I think that's one of the biggest things for her, is because she already feels like she's missing out on so much of her kids that she already has in their lives, and now to bring in another child that she'd be giving all of her attention to, as opposed to just 50% of the time. So I think that's a really big struggle, and she's got to first of all want it for herself, and not just want to do it for Eddie, which you do when you're in that type of relationship. But she's also got to think about her other kids. How are they going to feel about that? Are they going to feel neglected or not like they're getting as much of her time. So I feel like, that's going to be something we're going to see this season. Is
Absolutely. I think it is going to be something that's going to be an ongoing issue that her and Eddie talk about. And also trying to figure it out, is she trying to fill a void? Is she really trying to fill a void, something that can't be replaced by her kids not being there and fill that void? Or is she really doing this out of genuinely wanting another child with her husband? Which I think she wants to give Eddie that too, but I think she's probably struggling a lot with the fact that she can't do it naturally.
Right.
Like, she made this decision years ago, not knowing she was going to get remarried, not knowing she was going to get divorced, and thought she was done with having kids. And here she is with this husband, and they're in their 40s, and she wants to give him a child, and now physically she can't. It just can't really be reversed like that.
So, on that same subject, Tamra, Heather, and Shannon went to dinner.
Yes.
And they brought up this whole topic of Tamra not being sure if she wants to have another kid or if it's the right decision for her and Eddie. And Heather just comes out of the blue, which I thought was, really insensitive. She said, what was it that she said? She said,
"Is this what you really want to do?"
She was this.
I mean, that's not the exact quote, but it was, that's
she just had a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
And she didn't really seem to care about what Tamra felt for herself, but she was like, you really need to figure this out. And she had a lot of strong opinions. And Shannon in that moment said, I'm really getting to know Heather now because I can see that she always has to be right. That whole thing. And we've known that about Heather from day one.
Yeah, Heather just kind of jumped on Tamra like, wait, no, you don't want to do this. You're doing this for the wrong reasons. And then I really liked Shannon in this moment. Although she's new and we're getting to know Shannon, I really liked the fact that she wasn't afraid to insert herself into that and give Tamra the other side of it. Okay, yeah, Heather, and Heather's going to jump in here and give you this, oh, no, you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're trying to fill a void. But then Shannon was like, but no, really, if this is something you want to have with your husband that you love and you want to be able to do this together, that makes sense. So I like that there was two different opinions, and although Heather's was very strong, that Shannon was not afraid to jump in there. I really, really like Shannon.
Yeah, I respected her a lot in that moment. And I think that when it comes to something that sensitive about, you having kids or that sort of stuff, for Heather to just kind of jump right on in there with a strong opinion that was like, you are making the wrong decision, that sort of stuff, I just thought that was really rude and really insensitive on her part.
It seems like she doesn't really care whenever she opens her mouth many times. So.
Yeah, and I feel like she knows that when she's talking, whatever she's saying, she thinks it's right. So it doesn't really matter what anyone else has to say. So we can already see that we're on the same page about Heather.
Yes, yes. I'm still trying to figure out Shannon.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that. But Heather is a bit overbearing, should we say. And Heather's so boring.
Yeah.
I was upset about it in Hawaii.
And they were calling her Fancy Pants the whole time. They called her that all the premiere episode, and they called her that today, and then they were out to dinner, and then they went out afterwards with Vicki and Tamara's friends who just happened to be
in the area in Hawaii. I mean, who just happens to be in the area in Hawaii? I know. I sat there. I was like, wait a minute.
I think I'm just gonna drop by Honolulu tonight.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe I'll catch that 6-hour flight.
That was funny. They also looked like maybe 16 to me. One of them looked really young. That was really bizarre.
It was weird, but Heather wouldn't hang out the last night. Apparently, she hasn't hung out the whole trip, but it's the last night.
Yeah.
Come on. And then she faked taking the shot. Have fun with your girls. Like, have some fun. Lighten up. Yes, we know you have kids. We know you're married. Okay. It's okay to have fun every now and then.
Yeah. I mean, we've all faked the shot before.
Absolutely.
I can
Hello.
attest to that. But she just, she pretended to take it, and then she put it under the table. It was very obvious. It was very obvious. But she was like that all the premiere episode, too. She didn't want to go surfing, and she didn't want to drink at night. And she's it was funny to me, now that we're on the topic of Heather, we can bring up that, so she's on the show Hawaii Five-0, which was what the first episode was about, and now she's getting these calls about all these other shows, and the other girls don't like it.
Yeah. And they're mocking her. They're saying, "Oh, I got a call too. I got a call too." And so that's pretty funny.
Well, I think that they really did get a call, but but she's just making a huge deal about it. Yeah. And I think that's so funny that they're like, "Oh, but it's not the same part." So that was really funny.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's Heather. She's got lots of opinions.
Yeah, I don't really care for Heather, but hey, that is my opinion.
Yeah.
And
so, but while we're talking about Heather, we can talk about her and her husband when they're getting ready to go to the dinner party. That whole scene was so strange to me.
But it kind of goes along with why Heather probably didn't take that shot in Hawaii, or why they're on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think she has conformed to what her husband wanted. Her husband did not want to go to Shannon's dinner party. And he was like, Terry said, well, maybe, the kid just fell and got away. That can be our excuse. That can be our excuse. They were trying to get out of this dinner party, and it's like, come on.
And what kind of threw me off a little bit is that he wasn't just kidding about the kid getting hurt. He kind of
Yeah.
was like, let her keep doing that because maybe she will get
Maybe
hurt.
she'll get hurt.
And it depends
that's
on
more,
how.
Yeah. Us staying home is more important than our child being safe.
So that says something about parenting. And
Yeah.
then later, we'll talk about the dinner party more with Shannon. But at the dinner party, he said,
I know where you're going.
He called their daughter the B word, not going to repeat it.
Female dog.
Yeah, female dog. Their daughter, who's like, what, 4, 3?
Yeah, he says that, when Heather comes in the house, the daughter is like, yay, mommy, give me a kiss, give me a kiss. And then when he comes over, give her a kiss, she's like, oh, you kissed me, it's gross, it's gross. And he was like, she's such a B word. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Everyone at the dinner party was just kind of silent.
It was kind of like,
so awkward.
Pump the brakes. Did he just call his daughter that?
I mean, I get sometimes we kind of slip, don't mean to,
No,
but
that was not a
that
slip.
is your daughter.
Yeah. I mean, he was drinking some alcohol, but
So,
there's
yeah.
still no excuse
Yeah.
of calling your daughter that name.
Never. But we did get to learn a lot about Terry in this episode because when they were on their way to the dinner party in the back of the car, they're just comparing houses.
Yes.
Oh, we're the only ones in this neighborhood with a motor
Garage,
car or
some type of
something.
garage I don't even know exists. Some,
We're obviously not a part of that culture.
Yeah, we obviously don't live in Orange County, but
Yeah.
maybe one day.
Yeah. Hopefully we can be in that part of the neighborhood that has the...
Fingers crossed. That has the motor. He's like, we're the only one in this neighborhood with a motor double new garage or something. And I
Something
said,
really fancy that we
and
didn't
she
know.
said, oh, you just wanted me to say that out loud, didn't you?
And he was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can just see
No,
that
thanks.
attitude with
Yeah.
that. And then when he called Coco the
daughter,
female
yeah.
dog.
No, thank you.
So yeah, that was, a little bit
Much.
but yeah. Okay, so let's get into Shannon.
Okay.
So she's new this season. We got to see her a little bit in the premiere episode, but this episode I feel like we really got to know her a little better. What do you think of her?
I like her. I actually really love her. Now she's a little, cuckoo, a little bit.
She's quirky. She's definitely
with
quirky.
the feng shui but I run marathons in tutus and some people don't get that either. So, but I'm a good person.
Right.
So, I really liked Heather. I think she's genuine. I think now we'll get on the topic about her relationship with her husband in a second, but when it comes to Heather, I really liked her. Nobody can usually bond with Vicki.
Right.
And she hit the nail on the head with that. She knocked it right out of the park.
Yeah,
I mean,
they bonded over being Aries.
yeah, and so she just seemed really sweet, really down to earth, a little airheady, a little bit, but I really, really liked her.
Yeah, well, so we first got to see her. We skipped over this with Tamra, so we'll just kind of back up a little
Okay.
bit. But so Tamra had the Halloween party.
Yes.
And this was before the dinner party. And this is when they first get to meet Shannon. This is when Tamra and Vicki and everyone else at the Halloween party
Because
get to
Heather
meet her.
brought her.
Because Heather brought her. Because they had bonded in the previous episode about their houses and designing them and that whole thing. So they get to meet Vicki. Before they arrive, Vicki's like, is this another girl I'm going to have to pretend to like? Like, they're
Yeah.
talking about her behind her back already.
She's like,
So that's
I
just
hate
kinda-
meeting new people. It never works out.
Right.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Right.
And then they walk in the door.
And then they hit it off.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said she thinks that Shannon has a good head on her shoulder. She seems like she's smart. We also learned that Shannon is very open
Very
about her
open.
relationships and about what she
Yeah.
thinks and about, the stuff she does holistically and getting the crystals in her mouth that she told us
But
about.
she is a contradiction. We did learn
Right.
that too, because she said she loves to go green and loves to take care of the environment, but she drives
An Escalade. Right.
that guzzles gas.
Yeah.
And she's like, I love to be healthy and I love
But
to
I
do-
don't work out.
But I don't work out.
Exactly.
And then we did learn how open she is. Now, that could work against her eventually because of when you're open, sometimes around these type of women, it will come back to haunt you. But she shared at that Halloween party that she'd been married for 13 and a half years, and that her husband makes time to go on 2 trips a year with his boys, with his homeboys or his guy friends. And her husband, David, has never taken her on a trip alone for 13 and a half years.
Right.
Now, what? My mouth hit the floor. You mean you've been married for 13 and a half years and you have not gone on a trip with your husband?
Not even a trip. They haven't even gone on dates together. She said she's waiting for him to make a reservation for dinner or
13 and a half years?
Right.
And you have not done anything alone?
Right.
Are you crazy?
Well, I think what it was is she talked about this a little bit last episode is they got married, they immediately got pregnant, and ever since then,
I don't care if you have 10 kids.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have 20 kids. What's that family with all the kids? I guarantee you they've been on a trip alone in the time they've been married, or been on a dinner. That is ridiculous.
I know. And we got to see, it feels to me like the kids are kind of what are keeping them together.
Yeah. Or in maybe her hopes that it would be better.
Right.
She's holding on to hope, but he is weird. There's no other word to
Let's talk about him a little more. Let's describe him as best we can.
Okay,
we were trying to do this earlier. We were having a hard time coming up with words to describe him.
Okay, the first word that comes to mind with David, which is Shannon, the new cast member's husband, would be weird.
Weird. That's all I can think of. It's just
I have another one. I have another word that could possibly,
what is it?
you tell me if it fits. Spacey.
Spacey. I was going to say aloof.
Okay, there's 3. We came weird, spacey, and aloof for David.
He's just like, he was like, so we'll bring up the example with the wine. So she asked him to go get wine for this dinner party. She wants to have this extravagant party to impress all the other
10
ladies.
people, right?
Right. And so she wants to impress all the other ladies and have this dinner party, and she wants the food to be better than it was at the Halloween party because she said she was not impressed with that selection.
She said it was very cute and the presentation was wonderful, but she likes to eat.
Yeah, she wants to eat, and she wants to satisfy the people who come to her dinner party.
Hence why she wanted to have a beef meal at her party.
Yeah, and he is just not having it with the beef for some reason.
It's
Like,
too
I just
heavy.
don't understand.
It's too heavy. I was like, okay, David. He was like, any meat meal is too heavy. Doesn't most meals have meat involved unless you're a vegetarian?
Right. And it was just like the whole thing was very awkward. Every time they are interacting with each other, it's just uncomfortable.
But finish
There's
about the
something
wine.
it.
Tell everybody about the wine.
So Shannon asks him to pick up wine. He's like, I tried to call you. I tried to text you. But she didn't answer because she's like, running around with her head cut off. Like chicken with her head cut off. But anyway, so he was like, did you want champagne? And then she's like, of course I wanted champagne. Or is it Vicki or whoever?
Heather. Yeah.
Oh,
Heather only drinks champagne.
Heather only drinks champagne. So she's really concerned about impressing these women, first of all. But anyway, so then he was like, oh, he sounded just like this.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I only, and then he's like, she only gave me 2 bottles, but I asked for 4.
Yeah.
We were like,
only gave me 2 bottles of wine, but I asked for 4.
and she flips. She's like,
Who wouldn't
2 bottles? She's like, 2 bottles. We're having like 10, 15 people over here. And that's 7 glasses of wine. She had it all calculated.
Yes, this is a grown man. A
Yeah.
grown man with lots of money.
And who is this girl?
I'm sure drinks a lot of wine.
And who is this girl who is giving him the bottles? I was confused about that.
Right.
So that whole thing. And second of all, it's daylight. You can still get back in your car and go get some wine.
And that's what she said. That's what Shannon said. She said,
Yeah.
I need you to get back in your car, go back to the store, and figure this out.
Yeah. So just that example is just kind of like they are not on the same page with anything that they're doing.
At
With
all.
the beef or the wine, or just whatever they're talking about. Oh, and the cotillion, they were talking about sending their daughters to cotillion.
Yes.
And she talks about how she comes from a very privileged family. This is the 4th generation of kids going to cotillion, and how she went there, her mom went there, her grandparents went there, her grandma went there. And he was like, my family's never heard of it. I've never done it.
Now,
Like,
see, that was at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
And this is when we were first introduced to Shannon tonight. And when she was with the kids and she was curling the hair for the kids, getting ready for the cotillion. And this is when I thought I was not going to like Shannon, because whenever she did say, oh, I came from a privileged family, and and then he says, well, I didn't really know about it. Then he said, what'd you do today? And she was like,
Stuff.
He was like, yeah, sounds like a brutal day.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought I was gonna really like him and feel some type of way about her, but it ended up being opposite. Yeah.
And then he said, when he was talking about Cotillion, and she was wanting her kids to grow up with manners and have, I think she has this idea of her life as like this like green, and like her kids have manners and they're perfect, and he's just kind of like, it's not like that. And he was like, I've never heard of Cotillion. Yeah. And the kids are like, that's why you don't have manners.
That's why you don't have manners,
like,
Dad.
oh Lord.
I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. So then let's get into how that relationship kind of shows up at the dinner party.
Oh man, I felt so bad. So not bad. I felt so embarrassed for Shannon.
Yeah,
and
she
and David
obviously
tonight.
put so much effort into this dinner party. As soon as the Halloween party was over, she has this idea. I'm having a dinner party. It's going to be awesome. It's going to have an amazing menu. The women they're going to love me now. I think it was like her idea of her way in with the group.
Yeah.
And the fact that it didn't really go as she planned.
It didn't go at all as she planned.
And she's a very scheduled person. She's like, I have my acupuncture at this time. I have to meet my doctor at this time. Like, she has all these different, like,
I did kind of giggle when she was getting ready because she acted like she was doing so much, and she did do a lot to prepare for the party. But she was like, "I have my maid here to clean up. I have my my nanny here to watch the kids, and I have the chef here to help watch over what's going on in the kitchen." I'm like, "So you're really not cooking this
so
meal?
You're not doing anything, really."
Okay.
And they even have a coat check at their house, so that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I did like the fact that the kids were there the kids were there running the coat check.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that.
And then when she was talking about her daughter Stella when they were getting all prepared, and she said that Stella just takes money whenever she sees it. She takes the cash.
She steals her money, puts it in her wallet.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, so I steal it back.
Yeah, to pay for tips and that sort of stuff. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. Rich people problems.
Yeah, what's that like, So let's get back into the party. So everyone arrives. They're all so amazed with the house.
The house
they
is
love,
beautiful.
Yeah, they're all like, wow, they did a really good job. Which was nice to hear them talking in a positive way behind someone's back.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a first.
Yeah. Doesn't happen often.
But we see Shannon kind of all over the place. She's telling the cook about the potatoes. You have to cook these exactly at this time. And everyone's coming in. But then, and David's in charge of the meat, and obviously he's like spaced out. No idea what's going on.
And
they're
getting everybody drinks and everything. And they were talking about the feng shui,
right?
About the crystals in the house, and did it really help the energy in the house? And David just off the bat, like as soon as everybody barely sat down, made a smart comment.
Yeah.
About Shannon, and that bothered me. I was like, you don't do that in front of people, especially not the first time they're in your house.
Right, and I think it bothered everyone there because Vicki said Vicki said it reminded her of her relationship with her ex-husband Don, and how it kind of watching them together is kind of like how it was with her and his relationship. And so, and she brought up the point that if they are this kind of catty and open about it in front of guests in their home, what are they like behind closed doors?
There's no telling what he's saying to her behind closed doors.
Well, it seems like when the camera is just on them, when they're in the kitchen or whenever it is, that they're kind of the same way. Like we haven't seen anything worse than, I think what he said in front of other people was worse than what he said behind closed doors. But I mean, obviously we don't know because we don't have cameras, all the time.
She flipped her lid when those potatoes were not cooked correctly. She says, "Oh my gosh, they're too crunchy. They're not done. I wanted them done a certain way." And so she went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
She can't believe she has to microwave them.
She microwaved them while the guests, and then they're having this argument in the kitchen while everyone can hear. Like the kitchen's not far removed from, where everyone else is. So everybody's in the living room like, this is awkward.
Exactly. Yeah. And so her and David brings up, he's like getting knives to cut the beef, and he's like, oh, maybe I could slit my wrist with this one. Did you hear that?
No,
that was an aggressive comment.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, oh, maybe I could slit my wrist. I was like, that was way too far. That was way too far. And meanwhile, everyone's in the living room listening to this whole conversation about, and Shannon's like, can they carry on a conversation in there? And she's like really concerned about if everyone's having fun and if they can talk to each other. And he's like, I'm sure that they can figure it out.
Because they're hosts. I mean, there should always be a host in the room where the guests are. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, they are adults. They can do it on their own. So he's like talking about them while they're in the, it was just weird. He's weird.
Awkward. And then, and we see that, so that moment for Shannon, for me, was kind of like, who is this woman? Because before I really liked her when she was defending Tamra and how she got along with Vicki, and it seemed like, oh, maybe she'll be a good addition to the group. But now that she's like, this relationship with her husband, I just feel like is gonna be a big part of the season.
I think it will be a big part, but I actually, I still like her the same because I don't feel like it's necessarily her fault. I feel like she's not treated
right. Well, she
properly.
said she just wants to feel loved.
Loved, yeah.
She
And
said,
I think
she said she gives him such a hard time because she just wants to feel loved. But to me, that doesn't really seem like the best way to get love. But I feel like she does want that from him. I don't think she's interested in not being with him.
Yeah, me either.
I think that, you know, they've put 13 years into this.
13 and a half.
Yeah.
And I don't think going on reality television was the best idea to help that situation. As we've seen throughout so many of the Real Housewives shows, how many marriages really last? Right. So
and
I don't know
Brooks,
if this is...
And even Brooks doesn't seem to want to be a part of it with all these women.
Yeah,
So
I don't think that's gonna...
I'm interested to see how that... Because it's
pans
really
out.
awkward to watch their chemistry. And I noticed it in the first episode of the premiere. As soon as he kind of walks into the room, the whole energy changes. And I think that energy is so important when talking about Shannon because that's all she cares about is energy and the feng shui. If I hear feng shui one more time
she said
talk about it so much.
The dentist did feng shui in her mouth. They put jewels in her mouth.
Yeah.
And it was going to cost $20,000.
Right. Well, she has a feng shui consultant, she said.
Yes.
I didn't even know one of those exist.
Yeah, neither did I.
I kind of want a feng shui assistant. I feel like my life would just be more balanced.
We probably need to make some more money before that can happen. But
I know. So this feng shui consultant helps her decorate her house, helps her make decisions about going to the dentist and all of that stuff. That was just so strange to me.
It is, but I like it just because it makes her different. I just like her quirky weirdness. I like it because she doesn't seem to care what others think. But now David, on the other hand, I'm still sticking with it. I kind of have to watch David like this because it's like it kind of makes me cringe,
like a scary movie.
Yeah, what is going on? What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where that goes this
season.
And
Heather obviously has a strong opinion about Shannon's feng shui-ness. She says, well, I thought it was also really rude at dinner how Heather said, people like you.
Oh, yeah.
She told Shannon, people like you get taken advantage of. And Tamra kind of jumped in to defend Shannon a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like, what do you mean, people like you?
Yeah.
That's something you never say in life. You just don't say it. You just don't say it.
Well, it's rude. Again, it's a rude comment by Heather about, you know, one of her air quote friends. And I just think that it's not appropriate.
It just seems like Heather is very closed-minded.
Yeah.
Very in a box. And Terry, too, her husband. It seems like they live this in a box. This is how life is supposed to be. I can't take a shot in Hawaii. I cannot stay out because I cannot have fun because does not fit in my box.
They definitely have their own world and their own rules that they're following that not everyone else got the email about.
Yeah.
I don't think they got the memo about that.
I'm glad I didn't get the memo, actually.
Yeah. So, so that it all ended at the dinner party. And so I think now we should get into some predictions.
Okay, absolutely.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
So we got to see some promos for next week. Didn't really, so it brought up a lot about this situation with Tamra and Heather. So what do you think is going to happen with that?
I think Tamra's going to flip on Heather. I think Tamra and Heather are not going to end up friends. I think it's going to be a major issue on the show because I think people are going to get fed up, especially Tamra. I think she's going to get fed up with Heather's overbearing opinions.
Right. And I also think that's definitely going to happen. And I don't think, I love Tamra. I'm loving her this season. And I think that she's just going to, defend who she wants to defend. And she's also just going to speak her mind. And I think that Heather needs to be put in her place. It's just annoying that she's like always correcting people's grammar. And she's like, I'm right, you're wrong. So I think that needs to happen. And I'm really hoping that happens sooner rather than later.
It will. If Tamra doesn't do it, then Vicki will.
Right. Leave it to Vicki.
Yeah, guarantee you that.
Yeah. So with Brooks, do you think Brooks going to come into the season soon, or what?
Brooks will. He's going to have to if he's going to be a part of Vicki's life. Right. I do not think it's going to work out. I do not think that Brianna, Vicki's daughter, is ever going to accept him. I think it will be continuous drama in Vicki's life. Because I just don't trust him. I'm with Tamra.
Yeah.
I don't trust him, but I feel like Vicki does have to go through this to find that out on her own, because so many people have told her, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, that now, like we said before, she is hell-bent on doing it.
Right.
So, but my prediction is it's not going to work out.
Right. But I also think that with Brianna moving to Oklahoma, it might make it a little less tense between her and Brooks. And also, she's probably not going to know that Vicki is with Brooks, whether she is or she isn't, because I don't think Vicki's been very open about it already.
Oh, no.
So the fact that she's a country away might make it,
I don't think it's gonna. I think it doesn't change somebody's personality,
right?
Because Brooks's personality and intentions, I should say.
Yeah. All right. So where can the people find you, CJ?
Find me on Twitter at CJ Simpson _, Instagram the same at CJ Simpson _, and Facebook Crystal Jewel.
Crystal Jewel.
Yes,
goes with the feng shui.
Jule.
Oh, nice. All right. And you can find me at Sterling Cates on Twitter and Instagram, and also on some other AfterBuzz shows, Mad Men and Love in the City. So thanks for tuning in. Please come back next week.
Yes.
And rate and review us on iTunes. Thank you so much.
5 stars.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.